every time I sit at this desk, I remember that I've got a small jar of mushroom pills on it. And tell myself I really should take those. And then, because of a complete lack of object permanence, as soon as we're done recording, I take off my headphones, turn around, and then there never were any mushroom pills until next week.
Your sense of object permanence is non-existent.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
One of the fun things about ADHD is that whole thing that you're meant to learn as a toddler, of like, I'm not looking at it anymore, but I can still remember it exists, just doesn't quite form right.
You're forever locked in a mortal game of peekaboo with the world, essentially.
Yeah, you know, I put my pills down, I look away, and I go, oh, I never had pills, there've never been pills. There's pills, I'm surprised, I've been caught off guard.
There we are. I've taken them while I'm on the thing. Ironically, they are for brains. I'm not one who goes in for the herbal remedy, natural solution-y kind of thing, unless mushrooms are involved. Because over the years, mushrooms have been very effective in my life. So I'm a big believer in the power of mushrooms. Plus, mushrooms are just awesome to look at and regard and think about.
Here's the thing about, like, supplements. I'm a big believer that cure-alls cure nothing. If someone promises you that, like, this'll fix every problem you have, it probably does nothing. I do think if there is an exception in my mind, it is mushrooms. And again, it's only because mushrooms are, like, they're weird. They're kind of like plants, they can talk to each other, they have this whole, like, network under the ground, they're, like, one big thing.
Mad.
Like, there's, like, slime molds are a thing, and they, like, crawl and grow and stuff. They gotta be good for something.
Yeah, they're weird alien creatures. Plus, unlike a lot of the kind of supplement-y stuff, as I very subtly and slyly alluded to a little moment ago, we do have in-the-moment proof of mushrooms being able to have very dramatic effects on one's mind. So I'm more inclined to believe it when someone says, this mushroom will do something for your brain.
A mushroom might make you see through time. You know, on the other hand, there's mushrooms that, like, ants eat them and then their brains get taken over and now the mushroom controls them. You know, if it can control an ant into doing stuff, maybe it can control my brain into having good mental health.
Exactly. Go from cordyceps to cordicapable. That's how I like to look at the world. But yeah, these ones are lion's mane mushrooms. And I don't know if they're a con or not, but we've always just had, like, jars around because Fee gets them. And I will say that I've had better days in conjunction with my ADHD meds, at least. Because it's for, like, helping with focus and stuff like that. And I think it has helped as a thing. I just sort of pop two of them and I sort of am a little more sharp.
I can tell you, like, two things about lion's mane mushroom. One, genuinely does help prevent blood clots, like, that's the thing it does. Two, you can make a pretty good fake vegan chicken out of them.
Yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? Because they're good for vegans.
They got a good texture for that. I've got some vegan friends that saw a really big lion's mane once and went and got their kayak to, like, paddle out to go get it. Because they're like, oh, that'll make a good fake chicken, that.
Amazing. You see, that mushrooms are awesome. Just in general and very specifically. In many different specificities. I think mushrooms are incredible. I enjoy them for food. I like soup, and they are good on and pizza, and they are good in and pie, and
they're good in a risotto. Oh, I love a good mushroom risotto.
Classic, a mushroom risotto, classic. Visually, I think mushrooms just look cool. Out of all the sort of inanimate life that we have, they just look awesome.
Also, some of the best reproduction.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like, you don't need nobody else. You're just going to spray your spores out into the world and hope they find purchase.
Yeah, and I've done that, and all I've ended up with is a cleanup job.
See, one of my favourite things about mushrooms is the guessing game they're involved in, is that you can have, like, your little books that'll tell you, like, oh, this might be this one, this might be this one, here's ways you can tell. But there is always a bit of a gamble with a mushroom of, like, is this the good tasty one, or the fun one, or the one that's gonna give me the shits, or the one that might kill me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Let's go.
And now with AI writing all the mushroom identification books.
I was about to bring that
Yeah.
up. I did watch a video quite a while back that was going over like kind of foraging and like field guides and things like that are being written by AI, and they are very specifically pointing at poisonous mushrooms and saying
Yeah.
they're succulent, those ones. Terrifying, dreadful.
Oh, can I tell you about one of my favourite mushrooms, if you're not aware of this
please.
mushroom? The bleeding tooth mushroom?
The name alone is already top tier.
It looks like someone took a marshmallow and, like, dripped drops of blood onto it.
Amazing.
It's fucking weird. It looks like it is an alien ooze that is bleeding. That like it came down to earth after a fight. It's struggling to survive.
Oh my god. It looks both disgusting and delicious. Like
Right? Like it looks like it would be candy syrup you'd lick off.
it's
maybe.
yeah. Like I don't have that phobia of lots of holes. I forget what it's called.
tryptophobia.
Tryptophobia. I would say if you've got tryptophobia, maybe don't look it up because I don't have tryptophobia, and it is triggering a phobia I don't have looking at it.
Yeah, this would freak my wife out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, looking at it makes me want strawberry cheesecake.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it looks really tasty gross is the only word I can think of for it. I don't think I've ever seen something so off-putting, yet it promises delectability. And I don't know how to approach that. Mushrooms are incredible. That's
Yeah.
a Bloodborne boss.
That's a Bloodborne boss. The other one I really like. Sorry, I've gotten onto mushrooms now.
Oh no,
it's gonna take me a minute to get
I
off.
am all for mushroom talk. I love
I
mushroom talk.
want to tell you about the basket fungi, also known as the stink cage.
Excellent.
And the best way I can describe how this looks is, I don't know if either of you have seen the new kind of basketball they're trying to make that, like, isn't a solid ball with, like, air inside of it. It's just like a honeycomb outside of a ball.
Yeah.
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 It looks like one of those.
It looks like
Yeah.
a tumbleweed without the, like, straggly bits. If you just, like, took all the straggly
Yeah.
bits. Yeah.
Yeah, they're weird. It looks like someone extruded a poppadom into a sphere.
It looks like a pretzel designed for inflation kink fans.
Yeah. Mushrooms are fucking great.
Mushrooms are incredible. They are, for something that doesn't move, they are one of the most interesting things in the world, I think. Genuinely. Every now and then, I just get really into mushrooms for like a day and start reading about them and deciding I would definitely get into mushroom hunting. I become fascinated by mushroom hunting as a
great
practice.
song by Yoko Kanno.
I don't know that one.
It's from Cowboy Bebop, but don't worry about it.
Okay, no worries.
There are anime fans out there who are like, "Kee!" right now.
Oh, I've just remembered this one, because now I looked up the stink cage, and then it was throwing up other ones, and it threw up the Veiled Lady, which is a really good one, because it looks like, very genuinely looks like a penis in a dress.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Well,
According to the tag on this picture, its scientific name is Phallus industriatus. Yeah, a very ill penis.
Look, sometimes your penis has to wear a wedding dress.
Exactly.
Welcome to Podquisition. There's
Brilliant.
video games here sometimes.
Yeah. There should be a game about mushroom hunting.
I gotta look it up now. Mushroom video game. What's good mushroom video games? Okay, there are mushroom video games.
I don't want to play any that sell themselves using the word cozy, because I am so sick of the word fucking cozy attached to every single fucking game I see now.
anything that doesn't have you ruthlessly murdering somebody is suddenly cozy.
Yeah, like they've turned that into a brand, like cozy as a thing. And it makes me cringe because it's been applied to fucking everything. Because someone decided it should be like the word du jour, so now everyone's using it. And the word has no meaning anymore.
I would argue it still has meaning in how it's used, but not in the way that it's intended to be. In that, hey, if we're going to get into the politics around what gets called cozy games and not, a lot of the time it's about aesthetic and whether or not it has anything quote-unquote controversial, and there has been a whole little discourse that's gone on for a few years about, like, why don't you call that game that fits with the other cozy games but has queer characters in it cozy?
Oh, okay. All right. So as long as it's inoffensive to a white person's politics, then it's fine.
There's been... And I don't want to say that's everyone that uses the word cozy, but there is some of that that floats around the cozy space sometimes.
I would definitely say that's not what most of the ones that I've seen... It really... I know it's been a thing for a while, but... Like, over the course of last year, the use of the word exploded. Like, I check out store pages a lot, and on an extreme week, you'd see, like, 6, in the first 2 pages, 6 games with either cozy in the title or cozy plastered all over the description. Cozy this, cozy that.
Yeah.
I hate the word, and I will say, like, most of those I don't think are doing it for the... political reasons, because they're just glomming onto it.
I'm not saying they're doing it for political reasons in game titles. I am saying there is an inherent politics to what games don't get the cozy label.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. It's weird how it's used sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, like, honestly, most of it just gets thrown onto a game that I would call more accurately twee bullshit.
I mean, a lot of the time it's, does it have lo-fi music and cute, like, colourful art?
Yeah.
That's cozy.
Yeah.
So yeah, who's played stuff this week? Who's got stuff they played?
I've really just played a little more CloverPit.
Yeah. How's your progress going on old CloverPit?
Hit a wall on it. Now that I've got the 4 drawers open, and I'm not getting the numbers that I need, and something that I find a little frustrating about the game is, once it gets into exponentials, there are 2 problems. One, everything feels like it takes forever. And I know they've tried to address the speed at which the patterns are scored. It's not fast enough. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, let's get through this. And so it turns the thing that should be this is exciting, into a bit of a drag.
It hasn't quite managed to capture the Balatro exponential style of speed up, get faster and faster and faster when you're dealing with those kind of activation numbers.
And I think they're working on it. Like, there have been improvements already made to that, but it's still not there. And then, I'm not a bad math guy, but I'm not a math guy. And so once you start getting into the exponentials, it becomes hard to gauge how successful you're being sometimes.
Yeah.
And I find that to be a bit frustrating. But I have been, sort of experimenting out with some different builds, and I've been enjoying getting a ton of the Clover tickets, like in the early deadlines, and then doubling them up any opportunity that I get to tie in with a pattern bonus that then produces tons of points. But eventually I think I'm just, I don't know how to score enough points, how to build these things up high enough to be valuable on the later deadlines.
I've been having a similar issue in the sort of later game, in that none of the changes I am making feel dramatic enough for me to get a sense of, was that a better choice than a different choice? And I can go, the number is going up more than it was a second ago, but I really can't feel intuitively whether it is that increase is enough to be keeping pace with where my score needs to be. Like, that's kind of the where the core of that problem is that I just can't... get a sense of, am I accelerating at the same pace as the goals?
Right.
And I don't know exactly where the answer is in that, but it feels more like luck at this point when I am succeeding than skill, and that didn't feel like the case in the early to mid.
Right. Yep. But, I mean, it's fine. I'm hoping that I'll push through. I don't know. I'm starting to run out of patience. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I feel like there is a way over the wall that I'm approaching,
Mm-hmm.
but damned I only have so much time and patience to bash my head against that wall to click whatever needs to click strategically in my head.
Yep. That's pretty much where I'm at. I'm still digging the aesthetic. Have you found the music in the game?
Yes.
That is, that's a setting, I guess. That's a way you can do music in a game.
It sure is. It sure is one of those things that, what you expect to occur and what occurs, don't quite align.
Yep. Yeah.
And then this game is good at that.
It is, yeah. So there's definitely things. I'm not upset. I'm not angry that I bought it or anything. I'm having fun with it still on some level, but I do think it is going to be one of those games where I'm just going to burn out on because it's not quite as tight as it needs to be.
Yeah, agreed. What about you, Steph? What have you been playing this week?
I played Hades 2, obviously.
Yeah, how's your progress going?
Yeah, well, I was telling you before we recorded, I've got a callus on my thumb.
That just means you're working hard at it. You know, a musician wouldn't see a callus as like a sign they're not playing enough.
Yeah. They also probably wouldn't see it as a sign they've been playing too much. But I haven't played entirely too much. My thoughts haven't really changed, because it is a sequel to one of the best games I've ever played, and in terms of quality, it is exactly as good.
My thoughts have changed a little bit since last week, but only in one very specific way, which was we both last week talked about, like, how there isn't really a good replacement for the fists in Hades 2, and then both simultaneously sort of came around to, oh, the jetpack with punching is kind of the fists. Particularly now that I've realised I can hold down... There's a setting where I can hold down ZL, and that means that if I hold down the attack button, it just keeps doing punch, rather than very quickly going to the charged punch. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can make this be how I used to play with the fists. That's my whole update, is I've kind of gotten very into the jetpack build.
That's where I was shortly after we recorded last. But I have since changed from the jetpack.
Oh. Okay.
Because I unlocked the hidden aspect of the skull. The hell form. It is fucking incredible. I've had a game's worth of fun just toying with the ways in which I can work that weapon. But basically, it changes the whole way it behaves. For those who might not know, the main version of the skull is you've got a number of skulls, you throw them as projectiles, they stay where they are in the environment, you have to go pick them up. And if you use your special move, that will magnetize the skulls back to you.
Yeah, you do a sort of dash that pulls them into you all at once.
What the hell variant does is it doesn't throw the skulls at all. You just constantly throw them out in a straight line in front of you. Not really as a projectile, more as just this forward stabbing motion over and over and over. When you throw the special out, instead of charging, a skull flies out of you and seeks enemies out. And while that skull is out, your main attack is now rapid fire. And it's just... And it's something else. And on its own, it's really cool. But once you start messing with it, like, there is a specific upgrade for it that will have it branch out after it hits one enemy. And so you combine that with Hera's hitching ability and or the chain lightning from Zeus. and you are just clearing crowds like nobody's business. You whack Scorch on that rapid fire thing. Like, there are, like, regions and certain enemy combinations, or certain bosses, like a boss that might take me 2 minutes is under 30 seconds with just a few choice upgrades on that thing. That's what basically carried me through the last few runs I needed to do to sort of unlock the end game, like the post game.
Yeah. I've started playing around a little with that, and specifically doing it with lightning on my main attack, fire on my special, and then getting the thing that makes my lightning effects also inflict Scorch, and then getting the lightning to chain around off of that, inflicting Scorch as it does. It gets pretty silly.
Yeah. It's the only hidden variant I've found. I am excited now to see the hidden aspects of the other weapons, because if they're all like that, like some of the known alternatives are really fucking cool. Like the daggers were okay, but didn't excite me until I got the Artemis variety that lets you tank a hit and then deal critical damage after you do it, as a weird sort of using the game's mechanics to kind of approximate the idea of parrying and riposting. Just a really cute way of trying to do it within the established mechanics. So yeah, I am very excited to see what the other hidden weapons are like. I've also unlocked the ability to change what my familiars look like change their skins. So obviously the game is now 10 out of 10 game of the year, because I can make my frog different. Thank you very much. Yeah, I still, my only main critique is still, it's still just, Hades came out first, and sort of did some of what this game, like some of the most surprising aspects of what Hades is as an experience, we've already experienced. But that does not take away from the fact that it is still a sublime game with plenty to offer on its own merits, Now that I'm in the post-game, I was very charmed by how the main story wraps up. I won't say much more than that.
Yeah.
But I am finding elements of the post-game very adorable.
It's a very different kind of narrative arc that they use the repetition to explore. And I was initially a little unsure how I felt about it, and very quickly it won me over.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, the excuse to have you keep playing is a very obvious and paper-thin excuse. And they only...
1,000,000%. It's flimsy as hell.
It's fucking awful, if I'm honest. But they get away with it just because once you just get over that, the actual interactions within it are very fun.
Yes, the excuse is poorly explained and very transparent that this is so you can keep doing the thing, and that the narrative changes don't have to stop you getting to play. But they facilitate really fun narrative interactions, and I'm okay with that trade.
And I don't mind it. It's the post-game, I've already gotten dozens of fucking hours of a game campaign that I was interested in. And it's way more convoluted than the last one. But the last one wasn't exactly brilliant. Just, I'm going to keep playing this. Like, I'm going to keep doing runs because now I'm now Hades' security specialist, so I'm doing it to test their defenses. Like, it doesn't matter, basically. You need just any flimsy excuse, like a fucking video game in the 90s, just an excuse to keep the action justified. I don't mind it. Plus, I again, don't want to spoil it, but there is a certain character who just becomes just adorable.
Yeah.
What a hell of a, change of pace.
Yeah, the writing and acting choices are impressive.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know if I got too much to add. I've got a review drafted up for it and all of that. The only massive criticism I have, and we talked about this, you and I, Laura, the other day, is I really don't like how they did Prometheus as a boss fight. Most of it's fine, but there is one attack, and I have this problem with any game that relies on memorizing sequences and things, because it is an accessibility thing. My working memory, my short-term working memory, is so bad. Well, we talked about it at the beginning. I'm not exaggerating when I say these mushrooms I'm looking at, I will forget they exist until I post Podquisition to the Patreon tomorrow. Because they're, Conrad will almost certainly have titled it something to do with mushrooms, and then I will remember we talked about mushrooms. As soon as my eyes are off those mushrooms on the desk, they will not exist. So, giving me a sequence of 5 AoE attacks where you have to stand in specific spots on the ground to avoid them, and you have to memorize before they happen the 5 positions you need to be in, and then it does it. On top of that, they can do almost, and depending on how many health upgrades you got, possibly an entire health bar's worth of damage if you fail one of them. And then there's 5 of them with no, unless you've got one fucking boon off of Athena, there's no iframes after you take damage. So you really can, and when I first fought the boss, I've really cobbled together as many mnemonic systems and memory tags as possible. And I can't do it reliably, but I've swindled my way into working around it as much as I can. But when I feel not just punished for having a memory disorder, but severely and extremely punished, it goes from, basically, Prometheus goes from punishing me for having a memory disorder to outright telling me to go fuck myself because of the sheer volume of damage.
I've been playing a lot of Hades, while doing other stuff. I've been watching something and also playing Hades. That fight with Prometheus is the one place where consistently I have to be nothing else. I need to be focused on just this. I can't multitask this because of that section. And this is going to be a really niche critique, but the thing that makes it hard for me to mnemonic the patterns of where is safe in my head is the fact that it's on a diagonal.
Yes.
Because in my head, what I want to be doing is up, middle, down are my safe positions, and I know logically what I mean by that, but I stop and second guess myself slightly because they're not precisely that. There's no clean descriptor for those three diagonals, and it's just...
Just the very fact it's isometric threw me for ages. As a separate thing from the memorization, because for a while, I would be sure I was in the safe spot.
Yeah.
And I'd get caught, tagged by it, because the angle was slightly off. I've gotten over that bit through sheer repetition.
There's nothing to line yourself up with to go, I got past this lantern, therefore I know I'm in the safe area. You just kind of have to feel out where those lines are. And again, the isometric perspective doesn't help, you're right.
And then on top of that, one of my big problems with fighting games was not just having to remember long combos, but having to remember any sequence of buttons under duress, under stress. When I'm in a stressful situation in a game or anything, it's even harder for me to concentrate, to remember things. And you get such a brief window, a brief glimpse of that sequence before it starts. And like I say, I have been able to have a better success rate by just yelling out loud, top, middle, bottom.
Oh yeah, that is very much where I'm at too.
But it's taken it from every other boss. I have gotten enough practice in now, and I'm good enough at putting builds together that I can reasonably trust that I will beat it. Just like I did with the first Hades, where I'm like, you know what, I might fuck up here and there and still fail somewhere along the line, but I have a reasonable assumption I will get through this. Prometheus, I was starting to really lose my rag with it, and I was not having fun because I was building around the Prometheus fight. Every time I ran the upstairs, like the Olympus route, everything, the boons I picked on the first level was all keeping Prometheus in mind. What will I need to tank that? What will I need to survive that? And that wasn't fun. Because, you know, when I'd done enough in the downstairs stuff, I just had several runs where I had to do Olympus in order to advance the story. I had to do multiple runs upstairs. And I was not having fun experimenting like I was before, because I was just concerned with Prometheus. Now that I've gotten into the post-game, that's relaxed a bit. There's less sort of... I don't have that need to get through it, which has taken off a bit of the stress and therefore helped even more with fighting him. Nothing in either game has ever made me want to walk away from it. Every time I lose a run in either game, there's still enough going on in the home base, in like, you know, the crossroads in this one, and enough of a sense of I can do this that I'm happy to keep going. I lose a run, I dive back in. Except Prometheus. Whenever I lost to him, I had to stop playing, like, and take a break, because it was not encouraging in the least. It was not fun. It was not nice. Even with God mode, like I talked about this on Blue Sky, and people suggested putting God mode on, which gives you a 20% damage reduction, and if you die while it's on, it will slowly beef that up.
Yeah.
Even with that on, the amount of damage that move can do. Like, if you made 5 mistakes in a row, which again, if you've got a memory disorder, it's not unlikely, you go from full health and all of your death defiances to dead, to game over. And it's entirely because people who don't have memory disabilities think memory is a skill that you can just practice and get better at. No. Maybe that's how it works for people who don't have memory disorders. I don't know. I've never not had one. Maybe they can just practice and get better at memorizing. I can't. I genuinely thought I would have to stop playing. And it's only because I brute forced it and came up with anti-Prometheus builds and just died so many times that I at least got over the isometric bit. But I shouldn't have had to have butted my head against the wall that many times. I don't know. Some people will just think, oh, you should get good, and you're just whining about it. But I have a big issue with games that do this. Like Binding of Isaac, out of all those fucking horrible curses that they put on the game, like the various things like, oh, you'll go through the door and it'll put, like, on one room and it'll throw you on a different part of the map, or whatever. All of the curses are shit, but the one that I find expressly exclusionary is the one that hides the map, that just puts a big question mark over the minimap so you can't see where you are, because I won't know where I am. Because with my memory issues comes a lack of directional, navigational skill. I can't remember where I am or where I was, and it just feels like a fuck you to anyone with memory issues.
It's exactly the problem I was having with Silksong when I unlocked that new moveset and suddenly couldn't see where I was on the map anymore. It was like, fuck, this is unplayable.
Yeah, and it really is one of those things that, for the amount of games that are still priding themselves on accessibility, it is one of those ones that people just don't think about, because it's not something someone traditionally thinks of when they think disability. But it is absolutely debilitating in many ways. And when a game throws a little memory puzzle in the middle of itself, it is a huge barrier for some of us.
For what it is worth, as someone that is having conversations pretty regularly with developers about accessibility, cognitive accessibility, and specifically around memory, is becoming a lot more frequently something that developers actively ask about.
Good.
And it's going to be a while before we see a lot of that start to pan out, but it feels anecdotally like a lot more developers are starting to come around to the idea that that is something to think about when trying to make something accessibly designed.
It does surprise me a little bit sometimes, given the, creative fields, especially like creating video games and stuff, tends to attract a lot of neurodivergent, ADHD-addled people. It does surprise me that there's so little thought in some of these games.
I mean, I think a lot of it is simply down to if you are the one creating a thing, it is so second nature to you because you made the decisions around it that your design will often just inherently dodge the things that don't work for you.
Actually, you know what? You're 100% right on that. As someone who has done some game work, and I am now thinking of the chapter I wrote for Quantum Witch, where I watched some streams of the game, and I watched streamers miss 90% of my chapter, because in my mind, I had written the dialogue choices in such a way that I knew what the right answer to unlock the next bit of progress would be.
Right.
But I had actually made people so paranoid about angering this god character. And in my mind, I'm like, well, they're going to want to challenge the god character. And like all these people, like, they're going to want to question these people's beliefs. But people were being polite or afraid and didn't want to challenge people's beliefs. And yeah, we had to come up with a solution to that after the fact, because that was a humbling moment where I'm like, no, I can't assume my idea of the right decision is everyone's idea of the right decision.
And this is the point, is even if you've got someone designing a game who themselves has memory issues come in so many different kinds and flavors, that a thing that's not a memory issue for them in their design can give a false sense of security sometimes of, well, I have memory stuff and I was fine with this thing I designed, therefore this thing is fine with memory stuff. And it can be hard to see what other people's experiences with a design choice might be until someone who is not you is engaging with your design.
Well, yeah, that's at the heart of every accessibility discussion, really, is having that ability to engage with the game as somebody else would, or understand the different approaches someone might have to your game. And it's why discussions like what we're having are so important, because it is the only way that, and I've said before, like, just how grateful I am to you for the work you do in the field of accessibility, in advocating for it, in consulting on games when it comes to these sort of accessibility features and that. Like, I feel like with some of the games I've played, I am actively benefiting from the work you've done, and actively benefiting from the discussions everyone's had about accessibility. And as you've said before, everyone's sort of disabled in waiting, in a way, because age will get to us all. Those of us who will live that long.
There is a reason a lot of people in the accessibility space talk about, we don't talk about people who aren't disabled, we talk about people who aren't disabled yet.
Yeah.
You don't need this support yet, but, statistically you're going to at some point, if you want to keep engaging with the thing you enjoy.
Ageism, by the way, it's not a nice thing, right? Obviously it's not a nice thing. It's hilarious. And I'll tell you why I've just said that potentially very problematic thing. And it's not because I think ageist comments are hilarious.
You don't want us to clip you saying ageism is hilarious, then? Okay.
No, thanks. The people being ageist. Because as someone who, I'm not old, but I am middle-aged now. And I am, physically debilitated. More so than many people my age would be, just because of the chronic pain issues and that I have. But my sense of invincibility is all but gone. And knowing, when I see young people making fun of older people, it's gonna happen to them, and they don't even know yet, because they still have that sense of it. They will feel like, and I remember being in my 20s thinking the music I listen to, or the pop culture things that are going on now are timeless, because it's so modern and cutting edge. It's never going to be out of style, and everything that I thought was cool, and a lot of my stuff was already retro and tragic, but the more modern stuff I thought would be cool and timeless, all of it is retro and tragic now. None of it. The kids these days would listen to anything, any kind of music that I would have thought was rebellious, and they'd see it as fuddy-duddy, you know? It is an inevitability. Any age, any like 20-something who is making fun of anyone twice their age.
Don't worry, before you know it, the music that you're into will be on dad rock radio stations, and you'll be able to feel when a storm's coming because your knee starts to ache. Yeah. It'll come for you.
I've said for many years that the day I realised that S Club 7 was retro is the day I came to terms with the fact I'm going to die.
Yeah, there are very few exceptions to that rule. Like, every once in a while, I think Trent Reznor might be the rare example of the guy who, like, and granted, I can't listen to Pretty Hate Machine anymore because I find it to be too cringe. And yet, I saw them live a little while ago, and everybody was into Head Like a Hole. Like, everybody was into Head Like a Hole. Here at the Philly show, Trent actually stopped mid-chorus because he got distracted by somebody in a Santa suit crowd surfing near the stage. But it didn't matter because the crowd, he didn't have to sing. The crowd was doing it for him. No one would have been able to hear him sing over everybody else singing that chorus anyway.
There are definitely songs that stand the test of time. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, but in acts, because, you know, he's still that guy. And looking at that crowd, I expected a bunch of old people, and they were there. But they all had their kids, and their kids were just as into it. So, you know.
The thing that gets me with that, though, is how their relationship with Trent Reznor, the younger people, is going to be like what my relationship to, like, fucking ZZ Top was, or like something like that, you know? Like a bunch of old-gen rockers who did some timeless shit and are still relevant, but I see them as, like, veterans of music, proper classic. And that's how people look at Trent Reznor. Proper classic. Yeah, my dad listens to him, but, you know, he's intergenerational and still cool. Trent Reznor is the ZZ Top of his time.
And yet, but the difference is, I look at Trent Reznor in the mid-90s, and I look at Trent Reznor now, and I would fuck Trent Reznor at either point in history. I cannot say the same for ZZ Top.
Oh, I can.
So yeah, that was 80s too. I played a couple of things this week that I can talk about. Neither of them am I going to go into any huge depth on. I've been playing a bit of the new port to Switch 2 of Mario Galaxy 2
that
came out this past week.
Yeah.
It looks very nice. Mm-hmm. Like, it Nintendo's art direction generally scales up very well. Like, a nice little upscale, that game looks very nice on modern devices.
Yeah. It was the only thing I really cared about, because I'm not mega into the Galaxy games. They're nice, but I will always be happy to see, like, a Nintendo Wii game upscaled.
Yeah. Yeah, and at 4K, that looks real nice on the telly. It looks real good. I've got two things about it to say. Playing it in handheld mode is a little weird, because you're using motion controls to move the pointer.
Yeah.
And my brain can't wrap my head around moving the handheld to aim my Wiimote around the screen.
It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Like, any game that does it, it's a bit weird.
Yeah. What I've kind of repeatedly found myself wanting in handheld mode specifically is, like, I don't think both of the L2 and R2 are being actively used. I wish I could hold down L2 and move the right analog stick, and that be moving my pointer. Like, something like that feels like it would feel better in handheld mode than what we have. But when docked, the Joy-Con does work as a really good pointer analog, and like in docked mode, it feels like the motion controls feel great from that perspective. It just feels a little weird in handheld.
I will only very slightly disagree with that, but mostly agree. I will say, and this is true of any kind of Wii port or any light gun.
Is this going to be it has a tendency to drift?
The lack of sensor bar is,
yeah.
You always feel it. You always feel that lack of a sensor bar, and it's not too detrimental, but it is always there, and I do always have to press that little recalibration button.
Yeah. It's not a thing that bothers me. I've just gotten used to anytime I'm actively about to start using it, I tap the thing and start moving. And, like, my muscle memory's adapted to that. But yeah, the sensor bar for, like, any critique of the Wii was fucking magical. And I don't know how you would design a modern Joy-Con to have space for an IR sensor to make the sensor bar work again as a thing.
Yeah, that's the
well,
thing.
I'll tell you what, the sensor bar works great in emulated form on a PC using a Wii emulator that upscales very, very well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a bit of me that's genuinely like, I do wish the Wiimote sensor bar could somehow make its way back into Joy-Cons.
Yeah, I think
it was good.
Playing a light gun game or a Wii port with the gyro controls, I'd say it's, if you design around it, which House of the Dead 1 remake did, and House of the Dead 2 remake did not, and you really saw the difference. But even when they do it well, it's not so much that I feel it's bad, it's that I feel the loss of the sensor bar.
Yes.
And it just makes you appreciate, especially as someone who was playing the Wii, like cracked out the original Wii a while back and sort of dips into it now and again still. One really appreciates how good that was and how genuinely interesting and what a one-off device the Wii was. And we won't see that kind of thing again, almost certainly not. But anyone who thought, oh, it's just simple motion, we can do that with a gyro, hasn't played the Wii and hasn't used the sensor bar.
It does really make you appreciate what the Wii achieved.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'll say about Mario Galaxy 2 while talking about it, and this is entirely because of me and my specific disabilities that this thing, and I remember this is what made me drop off of Galaxy 2 the first time around. There are these coins you can collect in levels, these comet coins, that will unlock additional bonus levels to do. And those bonus levels are great. But the problem is that the game lets you collect these comet coins for a while, like not unlocking new levels yet. And then at a certain point goes, oh, those coins you've been collecting, they unlock new levels that will periodically pop up. Here's the first one. And you go to the first one, and instantly it's like, oh, the next one's over here, the next one's over here. And it puts you into a chain of, in my case, like 15 of these in a row. That I know, logically, I could just continue on with what I was doing and where I was going. But my brain goes, that just popped up and it's further back, and I'm trying to move forward, so I've got to go back and do it. And I felt locked into a chain of events that I didn't feel able to put down because I felt like there wasn't a convenient stopping point.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I want to like clear up to this point and that's where I'm going to put it down. And then it's the fact that it let me stack up a bunch of comet levels before it unlocked that ability and started popping them off back to back that just like locked me in a way I didn't like. And I know that that's like not a big reason to critique this game. It's a very me-specific thing. And now that I've gotten through that deluge of backlog of comet levels, it will now be a very occasional thing that pops up, and that is fine. But I remember having trouble with this back when I first played Mario Galaxy 2, and it did it to me again.
Yeah, I picked both of them up. I haven't touched Galaxy 2. I did what I always do, which is play Galaxy for 5 minutes, think, yeah, good game, and then not pick it up again. And I don't know what it is about Galaxy in particular. I like a good Mario game. I loved Mario Odyssey. I've almost always got time for a Mario game, except for 2 specific ones. Mario Sunshine and Mario Galaxy. There is nothing wrong with them. They're Mario games. As good as any other, like, in terms of picking one to play. For some reason, I always drop off them.
I will say, Galaxy 2, on this replay, I am finding way more engaging than Galaxy 1.
You see, I never moved on to Galaxy 2 because I would always start Galaxy and I'd go, I will play this and then move on to Galaxy 2. And then I think part of the reason is it doesn't get better for me in any game than meeting the Bee Queen who you can climb on, and then you can make Mario crawl between her legs and look like he's eating her out. And by the time that happens, I'm spent in more ways than one and don't feel the need to keep going, because what could be better? What could be better than dressing Mario up like a bee and having him eat out a giant queen bee with big dick-sucking lips? Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not be around the bush like Mario is, because he's dressed as a bee, right? And we got to be honest about the queen bee's lips. We've got to be. Please. I'm not on my own. Why am I being looked at like I'm the wrong one here? I didn't design her that way. I didn't make her sexy. I'm feeling very attacked right now, Laura. I really don't like the tone you're taking, you and Conrad. For the past 5 minutes,
I've not said a bloody word.
That's not what I've been hearing.
Yeah, yes, is that so? Is that so?
I'm just saying I would fuck the queen bee.
Yes, we know, we would all fuck the big bee.
Thank you. That's all I needed was some agreement.
So, I played one other thing that's, like, not good, but I find it interesting, kind of. Which is, I played a demo for, there's a horror movie franchise called The Terrifier.
Oh,
about an evil murder clown.
Art the Clown.
Yeah, Art the Clown, yeah.
I've been meaning to watch this. I've heard it is incredibly, like, over-the-top nonsense. Like, actual stomach churning
I
for
watched
people.
the first Terrifier and was actually kind of disappointed.
As the series has gone on, it has gone more into the realm of silly and cartoonishly goofy. And usually that would, in a horror film, mean I can't take the violence seriously. Like, it's not that gross because it's so cartoonish. Somehow the later Terrifiers managed to be like, oh, this is cartoon bonk on the head levels of goofy, and also my stomach is turning. But there is a Terrifier video game called Terrifier, the Artcade game.
I hate that. That's brilliant, because I hate it.
Right. And it gives you a warning at the start when you play. It's like, hey, beware gruesome, unsettling, violent scenes. We're based on a pretty upsetting film franchise. Be ready. The game is a, 16-bit side-scrolling pixel art beat-em-up game, where the violence that they give you the warning about is you're Art the Clown and you're punching, cops or whatever. There's no, violent ways that you're attacking these cops. It's just punches and kicks. And you might punch someone so hard that their head flies off, and a pixel art eyeball hits the screen and maybe some red for blood.
Right.
And the only thing that makes it interesting to me is the more of that demo I played expecting this, be warned of seriously stomach-churning, unsettling violence in this video game. And it's I punched a cop and an eyeball flew.
Wow.
Ooh.
I looked this up. For what is what looks like a cheap, knock it out quick, pixel art beat 'em up game. What? That is one of the biggest collector's edition collections of tat I have seen in a long time. Have you seen the collector's edition of this?
I'm looking at it now. Do you want to get this quite standard, bog standard, boring tie-in beat-em-up arcade game, but with 2 hard enamel pins, a vomit bag, a reversible poster, bloody brackets gameplay gloves, the physical game, character stickers, some kind of soundtrack, an art book, a premium collector's box, a special thank you letter, an instruction manual, and exclusive digital content.
That's incredible.
It's such a fucking nothing tie-in game.
Yeah,
for a horror franchise that's very much about, like, I'm gonna pop you headfirst into a blender and watch you spin around with your legs sticking out. It's just, I'm gonna run around and punch people, ooh. A bit of blood happened, ooh.
Bloody gameplay gloves. You see, I thought the bloody gloves was cute, but the fact they called them gameplay gloves makes me want to use the vomit bag that comes with it. I like a good collector's edition. I am a bit of a consumer whore for them. And I don't mind some of the extravagant, for what it is, collector's editions that, like, Limited Run does. Like, I think the Jurassic Park retro games, like the old SNES and that, they're shit. And I gave that collection a 6 out of 10 because I'm very much like Bubsy. Limited Run put in effort for games that didn't deserve it. And it's like, do I review this as a collection that had effort put into it, or do I review it based on the games? And I try and split the diff and go somewhere in the middle with it. But mostly it's, if the games are shit, I will review what is ultimately a shit product. But I have the collector's edition of the Jurassic Park collection with the fucking acrylic light-up Velociraptor light thing. Just because it's cute. And I will be suckered into that kind of thing. But my tolerance for that, despite how much mileage I have for these things, something about this one, the sight of this pile of tat for what looks like a very cheap and not all that good movie tie-in game. Because that kind of game is so throwaway. If Limited Run are doing like a collection for Bubsy or Jurassic Park or anything, even if it's a joke collection like Bubsy, I'm still assuming, and it's been borne out by the product, that someone somewhere is putting some love into it. Someone did this because they cared. And this just looks like any old tie-in.
Having played like 45 minutes of the demo, it feels like a real bog standard tie-in.
Yeah. I'm just amazed at wow. I mean, I know that Art the Clown is popular, and even though I did find that first film kind of overhyped, and I think that's why I was disappointed, was like, it was hyped up to me so much. I will say, I totally understand why Art is such a popular character. I was watching an old Red Letter Media video and they were talking about how these... Actually, no, it was a new one. They did Freddy vs. Jason, and I watched it because I think that film is fucking great.
Me too. Great
right?
movie.
I think it's better than any... And I say this as a big Jason Voorhees fan and someone who grew up loving both those series. Freddy vs. Jason is better than pretty much any film in the main series. And it is better than it had any right to be.
I will say, film that I think is worth watching if you enjoy the idea of some good, silly fun, comedy, goofy level violence. The new Toxic Avenger film, the new Toxic Avenger remake they've made, real fun. I was genuinely impressed at how well they captured the old Trauma vibe.
Without some of the old Trauma attitudes, I'm assuming.
Yes, 100%. Like, without spoiling things, the political attitudes are exactly where I would want them to be, while feeling aesthetically and sense of humor and violence-wise where Trauma used to be.
Awesome.
It walks that line really nicely.
I'd forgotten that was a thing. I'm going to have to watch that soon, because
Yeah.
I really liked Toxic Avenger, I think it was 4. Whichever one had Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD in it. As a kid, and I will say, as a younger person, because I don't think I could stand by half of what's in that film now, most of it was, I remember finding Sergeant Kabuki Man fucking hilarious in it.
My sales pitch to you for the new one is a sequence involves the violent murder of a group of men's rights activists who are upset that they changed the gender of the mascot for a burger place. They do use the phrase, the estronization of America.
Brilliant.
Right? And that should tell you where to put your feelings on this film.
And that's in keeping, because these days, with the regimes we've got running now, that's fucking rebellious right there. That's actual counterculture shit. I think that's in line with Troma's bullshit. But yeah, I just to go back to the fucking arcade game, the point being made that we don't have classic slasher characters anymore. Proper, like, iconic, singular horror icons. And I will say, like, despite what I thought of Terrifier, I see why people love Art the Clown, and the guy who plays him is superb.
The character acting energy is unmatched.
Yeah. So I guess, I can see why someone would cynically put that collector's edition together. But my God, does it not look like a game that deserves it?
No. What I played did not convince me it was worth putting any more time into.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a minute to throw a couple of things on.
I will
the end of today's
quickly
episode.
throw in, I've been playing Ghost of Yotei as well.
Oh yeah. How's that been going for you?
It feels very different from the first one.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. I really like the plot conceit. I am a big revenge film fan. I love a good revenge plot, and this is exactly my kind of revenge plot, where it's a gang of bad bastards that's done something, and they're all very distinct, and they're on a hit list, and the character is going through these sort of colourful characters who are all bastards. I love that kind of revenge flick.
And it's a character who I genuinely believe wants to go on the revenge quest. Like, this is not like an emotionless stoic revenge quest seeker. This is like, no, I can see the emotions that are fueling you to stick with this.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh, yeah. Atsu?
Atsu, I think, is her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great as a character because, for the most, she's just got a really good dry wit to go with the kind of angry revenge-fueled persona, which I really like. It's got the bamboo cutting minigame from the first one. And maybe you could tell me, Laura, because I don't understand. Why is a minigame that shit so fucking satisfying? It's just pressing buttons quickly and watching an animation. It's barely interactive, but there's something about... And unlike Prometheus, right? It's such a quick thing that you can look at and have all the time in the world. There's even an accessibility feature that lets you take your time. But for the most part, just because of how it's laid out and I can look at it for as long as I want, I've put it on just as a buffer, but I don't need it. I still try and do it quick.
Yeah, you can pre-prepare the muscle memory in your head while looking at it before you do it, and there's something really, really satisfying mechanically about it.
That might be it, of just, I can take my time, look at it, repeat it, press, slash. Yeah. And there's just something about what is mechanically garbage.
Yeah,
but I love it.
That's the thing, it's that knowledge of, but yeah, when I do it and I go through all of the bamboo, I'm gonna feel like a master. I prepared it. Because, for me, it captured the idea of, the person with the sword trying to cut through the bamboo, taking the time to prepare for, I've got to follow through the strike, I've got to do this, I've got to be ready to have my one strike. Yeah. And I feel like I'm doing that preparation, but with my buttons in my head.
I tell you what it is. It's like the fucking the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes film, where where he's like time slows because his brain's so fast and he's strategizing.
It's in the Mind Palace.
And then it's bosh, bosh, bosh in real time and it's done. I think that's what it is, because you've got all the time in the world to see the sequence.
It's the Supergiant effect. You do it in slow and then you do it quick and then you feel good because you did it.
So I'm glad they're back.
Yeah.
The combat took me a moment to get used to, because it does feel different to the first one. It's a lot more intense and challenging, I think.
It is, but also, if you get seen from stealth, I do think you have more tools to stand your ground.
Oh, absolutely.
Than you did. Like, 100% it's, if you get seen, you just kind of have to go, I am that spirit of vengeance. I will stand my ground and you will fear my bloodlust.
I also really like that if you are seen, the whole base isn't alerted. Just the kind of general amount of people that would see and hear the commotion come and join in. So you can stealth, get caught, fight the people who saw you, and go back into stealth. I like that a lot.
Yeah. It often means, like, if there's, like, 2 people, and you're like, I know I can stealth that one, but the other one will see, sure, I'll kill that one, and I'll get back into the grass before too many other people come over.
Yeah, and it really just adds a little more strategy, a little more flexibility, makes you emboldened to take a few risks, because even though the combat is tough when it starts, to the point where I wonder why there's even a health bar because of just how much damage is done, to the point where I genuinely think they should have not had a health bar. They should have had hit points, like legit hit points.
That first fight with the snake at the start really does sort of hammer home, like, you really have to play this out, and, like, where is my one opening to get one hit in and back the fuck off?
But once you get the hang of the rhythm, and it's very generous with its parries, you don't get punished for trying to parry too soon or too late. Which, again, it's about giving you just enough to embolden you to try. Which I love, because I've talked before about certain games that punish you so much for parrying. I can't ever get good at the parrying because I am dissuaded from trying. Too big a risk.
Plus, they have the ability to increase the success window for the parry, which I always appreciate.
Yes, I do like how the loadout... Like, I rarely use loadouts in games. I try, because I don't want to think about it, I will try and get as optimum a build as I can in one loadout and use it so I can set it and forget it. I've used all 5 loadout slots for a ranged build, and it's just, it's based on what armor you wear and what charms you equip. And I have one built for range, I have one built for dueling, with an armor that, like, really super widens the parry window. For the attacks you have to parry, but it disables regular parries. I've got a build just for scaring enemies. Just a Terrifier build. One built just around picking up the weapons that enemies drop and throwing them at them.
And I love that those never fucking miss. Yes. I love that is, like, such a lock-on system that, like, if I throw a thing, I know something's gonna die and I can just feel powerful.
Because the idea is to be cool. And that's what this game runs on. Every time a duel starts and it's in the middle of a flower field or in front of a waterfall, I'm like, you samurai movie fanboys making this really nailed it.
But again, that's the thing. They really want you to feel like people have heard the legend of me and seen, like, sketches of that exaggerate how scary I am, and I show up on the battlefield and everyone kind of knows that they're not walking out of that fight alive. And, like, oh yeah, you can feel that energy in the combat.
It is impressive just how easy they made it to look cool while still keeping a lot of challenge there. So you can just pick up a weapon and lob it lightning quick and never miss. But there's still plenty of danger there. Because you get too confident, you will get chopped to bits in one combo.
It makes me think a lot about the way that my current DM in Dungeons & Dragons talks about balancing D&D combat for, like, podcast listening, for, like, a paceable narrative, which is one of the best things you can do in that regard to keep something challenging but also have your players feel powerful, is to keep the HP values the same, but ramp up everyone's damage, or to essentially lower enemy health and as a stand-in for that, is if you make everyone very powerful but very fragile, fights don't take very long, your successes feel very impactful, but you know you are constantly at risk. And, like, it's such a little numbers thing, but I think this game really does a lot of that. Being fragile but powerful is a specific energy.
And just to wrap it up, because I was literally going to throw out a few sentences, but I really like this game.
It's damn good. I played like 30 hours of it for review, and then have gone back and kept playing to find more side content to do. I had a really good time with it.
Yeah, the biggest complaint right now is I wish there was a transmog kind of thing, because every armor that I've picked up as at the end of like there's several side quests specifically to get legendary armor off of legendary samurais. And not only is each individual bit of lore really cool, some of the outfit designs are fucking amazing. One of the early armors you get is the Spider Lily armor, which is this badass samurai gear decked out in big fucking flowers, and it looks so fucking cool. But, you know, it's tailored to a certain build, and I can't make anything look like anything else. And they each come with their own, like, exclusive skins that you can buy for them, so you can't mix and match all the colours with everything. And I just wish that opened up, because I want to use so many of these armours. Another reason I had so many loadouts is to justify, like, well, I hadn't been using a lot of ranged stuff, but the Dragonfly armor is for a ranged character. So now I'm going to use arrows a lot because the Dragonfly armor is fucking cool. So I will say, you know, I guess it made me use arrows a lot more, and some of those are cool. I found a charm that lets you set the ground on fire if you shoot at it. That's fun. Because again, it's just to make things cool. Let's just set the ground on fire and have a fight. Aside from the fact that I wish I could wear what I want and have the benefits of something else, so far, really liking it. Really like the game a lot.
Yeah. Should we wrap it up there for this week, I guess?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I was genuinely just going to throw out a quick sentence, but then really got into talking about it.
I apologise for almost brushing past it. I thought that the Hades 2 was all you'd played, but there's not really much on the news. Like, the big one is that Game Pass increased its price dramatically, and so many people tried to cancel their Game Pass that it crashed the Game Pass cancellation webpage.
Or they took it down to, notable. You know, possibly dissuade anybody who might be on the fence or not that committed, that it's too much hassle to do it right now, and then they'll forget and continue to have their Game Pass subscription. Not that I'm being conspiratorial or anything.
I mean, if you were gonna conspiracy, that's a pretty good one. But, yeah, no, the Game Pass price had like a 50% increase, and people were like, ooh, that's a bit rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it for this week. Nothing particularly important happened.
Okay. Well, I was saying earlier that you do very important work, Laura, in accessibility. And if you could let people know about all the important and entertaining as well, in many regards, work that you do, that'd be great.
I mean, I do stuff that you can find at Laura K. Buzz, basically everywhere on the internet. Patreon's the one that pays the bills. As little as $1 a month over there means that I can keep doing all this stuff. I had a piece on Slate that went up last week talking about the opinions of players in the Sims community about the acquisition of EA by the Saudi government and Jared Kushner, and sort of where that community is at and where they're looking to maybe move to in the wake of that news. Really happy with that piece. It's up on slate.com. Go check that out. I've got a video going up on Friday about accessibility hopes and concerns ahead of Pokemon Legends ZA releasing next week. Go check that out. At some point in the coming weeks, I will probably have some coverage of the Second Bridge Command campaign going up, which has been a really interesting experience that I have a lot of thoughts about. But Laura K. Buzz, you'll find all the stuff I'm doing. What about you, Conrad? Where are you out on the internet?
Oh, you could find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky. You can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman. I'm on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com. And everything I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
That is correct. Patreon.com/Jimquisition, which supports this podcast, and reviews on thejimquisition.com, as well as the web show, which is still on hiatus at the moment. I posted an update blog on that, and just the general fucking stress and workload that has made it take longer than I thought. But I am incredibly grateful that I have sort of the leeway to do that, and that so many people have been supportive in allowing me the time I need, because if I was trying to do weekly shows on top of everything I'm sort of dealing with at the moment, I think I genuinely would have a breakdown. So thank you all so much for the grace and just the general freedom to make those calls that people have shown me. So thank you so much. You can next see me wrestling in Nottingham. That's finally been announced. October 18th, I will be in Nottingham for Nebula Wrestling. So if you look up Nebula Wrestling, I will be there October 18th as Commander Sterling, and I will also be in Manchester with Pinfall Wrestling on October 26th for their Halloween show. I will be coming out to the Trapdoor theme, because, yes, I will. Definitely. That would be awesome. Other than that, check out my work in Vampire Survivors. I wrote the bestiary for that and various bits of lore. Vampire Survivors The Grimoire is coming out next year, which is a book of lore and story stuff that I'm writing with Paul Davies. Also check out my work on Date Everything and Quantum Witch, which are two other games that are available. And that's it. Thank you all so much for listening and for all your support, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.